But before I get into my message today, I do want to speak a little bit about this election that we all participated in this past week. At Mile High Church, it's not that we don't speak about politics. It's important to speak about politics sometime to be relevant. What we try to never do is to never speak from partisanship. There's a big difference. And we're not an apolitical church. What we are is a church full of good liberals and good conservatives and good everything in between. And I don't know about you, but I like being a purple church. I like that we like to hang out with each other and that there's somewhere in our country that we can still do that here at Mile High. That being said, for those who are pleased with the outcome of the election, congratulations. For those who are not pleased, who have fear about the future of their country or concern for themselves or loved ones, I'm very sorry for how you might be feeling right now. And I invite us all to remember a few things. The first is that in our teaching, democracy is sacred. And America is a divine idea. And yet part of being a part of a democracy is you don't always get your way. And so it's very hard when you don't get your way to pause and ask yourself if it is possible that the collective wisdom of the people might be more intelligent than where you are in a particular moment. I'm not asking you to accept that. It's very, very difficult to accept the outcome of democracy, and yet part of sacred participation is doing just that. Following up with concern and all of that, but that's part of what it is. Secondly, no one is more of an American than you are. There is no such thing as one American that's better than another American. So wherever you are, hold on to your virtue. Hold on to your patriotism and vision of a nation that can achieve freedom and justice and the pursuit of happiness for all people. Continue to be that. You may choose to consume a little less news and watch a few more movies right now, but don't discount your value as a citizen. And third, you can grieve without grievance. You can grieve the outcome of an election without participating in what we've been talking about a lot this year, this politics of other. This politics of other and grievance, which sometimes gives us candidates that maybe aren't the best or in alignment with what our virtues are. Grieve, take care of yourself, but try to do a little bit more of loving and understanding and practicing curiosity for people in your country. To connect, to listen, and to find a shared intention in however we seek to achieve this prayer of liberty and justice and happiness for all. So that's my spiel. Take good care of yourselves and take good care of your country. So it's September, just a few months ago, and I realize I'm overwhelmed. You ever have that happen to you? Yes. I'm overwhelmed. As we begin the entrance into this holiday season, do you have that experience too of fear and panic versus joy and excitement? So I'm in a place of overwhelm. There's a lot going on here at Mile High Church. I'm starting 3 classes in September. We've got that Adventures in Faith we just completed. We're going to throw a pledge campaign in there. Christmas is around the corner, and so is 2025. I got to get to work. So there's a lot. I'm a little overwhelmed. And as many of you know me, I've been walking through a lot of grief right now, supporting my California family, my Colorado family, a little overwhelming. And I think it's not wise to ever ask the question, does God speak? But how does God speak to you in your life? And how is it that you best listen for the voice of God in your life? And it's so amazing in my own experience that there's these surface thoughts of worry, of control, of doubt, of arguing with myself and others. And if I can just get quiet, it's amazing how the voice of God is right there. And one of the ways it best speaks to me is through good ideas. I'm so blessed to be a minister because I have to sit down and write thoughts to share with you. And sometimes something really good shows up that I'm excited to share with you, but it's what I really need. It's how I hear the voice of God in my life. And so sometimes they'll come out as little quips, little sayings, little prayers. A couple that have been really important to me in the last 12 months or so. One is quality of life is quality of consciousness. Quality of life is quality of consciousness. Rilke put it well when he wrote a letter to a young poet saying, if your daily life seems poor, do not blame it. Blame yourself. Tell yourself that you are not poet enough to call forth its riches. For the Creator, there is no poverty and no poor, indifferent place. It is powerful for me to know that the quality of my life is not based upon how good or not so good things are going, but the quality of my consciousness. And that no one gets to decide the quality of my consciousness but me. It's my job to take care of my consciousness through spiritual practices, through co-creating and clarification, through release and letting go. The quality of my life, whether filled with problems or celebrations, is the result of the quality of my consciousness. Another one that came forward that was really important to me, when love is at the center, love centers everything. When love is at the center, love centers everything. Going to sit down and have a difficult conversation with my spouse or my child or my parent, someone at work, it's so easy for us to put the problem in the middle, to put the issue or the challenge at the center. And the problem with that is it only helps us see partly. We only see from the perspective of problem or issue and not from solution. So when love is at the center, I've learned in my life, not only am I a nicer guy, but I see from a more whole perspective. Doesn't take away the problem, the challenge, or the issue, but it makes it solvable because I'm focused on the whole and not on the challenge in the little piece. When we put love at the center, it can center everything. It's getting groovy. That's funky. That's my funky vocal. And so so it's September, and I'm overwhelmed, and this little saying comes out. I'm going to offer it to you as an early Christmas present, as a possibility for you. It sounds a little corny at first, but I'm going to explain it. It goes like this. As I am present in the now, God takes care of every how. As I am present in the now, God takes care of every how. Oh, thanks for catching on. You can do this with me. As I am present in the now, God takes care of every how. Now, I came upon this quip not out of inner brilliance, but of full-on desperation. They say, and I like this philosophy, that you either live from fear or love. Do you accord with that? We're either living from fear or we're living from love. And one of the fruits of fear is control, right? And so many of us, we try to run our lives from a place of control, thinking we're the only ones in charge. And so I was having the experience with having so much on my plate of realizing I am not in control. I can't do all this. That's the funny thing about control, is you can actually live under the illusion that it's working, until things to get to be so much that you can't help but break down or surrender into the other way of living, which is the fruit of love, and that is trust. To live in trust. My life was forcing me to see that, yes, Josh, it's important to prepare for all these things that you have to do, but you do not have any time to over-prepare. You don't have any time to live under the illusion that you're in control, because you're not in control. And so what can I do but to prepare the best I can and come present? And when you prepare and come present, the byproduct of that is presence. Presence. As I am present in the now, God takes care of every how. And if I can be prepared and I can come present from a place of trust, this higher power, this sacred presence, this divine intelligence reveals itself. It was there all along, but we finally let go of our egoic nature enough to let it in, to let it happen and come forth in a meaningful way. Ernest Holmes, our founder, he liked to refer to this presence as your silent partner. Your silent partner. He shares, it is right that you live a more abundant life. The more largely you live, the more completely life itself will be expressed through you. It is right that we should all seek greater happiness for ourselves and others. You have a partnership with the invisible. Your silent partner, the law of mind, will always create the good you desire for yourself or others when you comply with its nature. When you comply with its nature. Now, is your silent partner going to cook dinner? No. Is it going to do the dishes when you're done? No. And yet, this presence is what brings forth what is needed most. That thing of how God speaks to you that I was alluding to earlier. That sense of grace. That peace of mind. That exhilaration of enthusiasm for life and circumstances. That clarity. That synchronicity. That love. The thing about this presence is it reveals itself when we become present to it, but it's not just in present time, it's in all time. And this is something very important to recognize about the Great Spirit, is that Spirit precedes me wherever I go. Think about that for yourself, and if you like it, say it with me. Spirit precedes me wherever I go, with that clarity of love, clarity of grace, clarity of wisdom, clarity of wholeness. And when we allow ourselves to accord by its nature, which means be prepared, because not preparing is preparing to fail, but be present with trust, then you accord with its nature and it reveals itself emphatically in your life. This invisible yet so important aspect to successful living. I liked how the Tao Te Ching put it. We join spokes together in a wheel, but it is the center hole that makes the wagon move. We shape clay into a pot, but it is the emptiness inside that holds whatever we want. We hammer wood for a house, but it is the inner space that makes it livable. We work with being, but not being is what we use. So for some of us, this sounds really confusing. For some of us, this is a divine duh. Of course. Sometimes for this presence to come forward, we've got to create the space for it. We have to empty ourselves with all of the clutter, the drama, the panic, the low self-image, and come present with trust to allow this how to come forth. We live in the visible world, but we reside in the invisible also. And when you can acknowledge your connection with this invisible power, you invite this presence into your life, where you begin to experience God, the divine, the Spirit, as an active, creative verb, and not just a passive theological idea. It's right there, operating in my life right now. It's right there, operating in my life right now. As I am present in the now, God takes care of every how. Any spiritual teacher who's ever been worth their own salt has taught that the divine is something that's present. It's something real and happening right here and right now. This was at the heart and perhaps Jesus' most profound teaching. That Spirit, God, what he called the kingdom of heaven, it's here and now. And yet it's difficult to decipher because his disciples couldn't understand this point. And the people who wrote the Gospels didn't get it either, but it's still right there in the teaching. One of the disciples will come up to Jesus because they think of heaven as this hierarchical kingdom that's going to come in the afterlife. And they say, Jesus, when we're in heaven, can I be like your right hand? Can I stand right behind you like spiritual hall monitor and just have like a big badge right here that shares how great I am? And Jesus will kind of shake his head and he'll do something like grab a little child and say, hey, you want to get into the kingdom of heaven? You got to be more like this kid right here. No plans at all. Just enjoying life, living in wonder. Why? Because the kingdom of heaven is right here, right now. I like how Leo Tolstoy put it in his beautiful interpretation of the Gospels. He says, and if they tell you, look, it came or is coming, or look, here it is, do not believe them. The kingdom of God is not in a time or in any place. It is like lightning. It is here, there, and everywhere. And it has no time and no place because the kingdom of God that I preach is within you. I like that. The Spirit is like lightning. You don't always see it, but you can hear it reverberate in the thunder. It's always right there. And if we can come present in the now with trust, if we can let go of the need to control to try and keep ourselves safe, we can allow this presence to do incredible things in our life. So much to say in my overwhelm in September. Embracing this little motto, as corny as it may sound at first, really helped me. I really found that when I was able to stay present in the now, that God really took care of every how. And so when something works, I like to build a little bit more prayer around it. And so I have one for us today. As I am present in the now, God takes care of every how. Present in the now, I experience God's good manifest everywhere. Let's pause right there. As I am present in the now, I experience God's good manifest everywhere. When we are in that false sense of control, we live in our lives and in the world as we believe that they are. It's only when we can come to that place of being present, to embrace trust, that the world that really is, the life that really can be, is revealed to us. But we have to give up that control and open up to let it appear. Heraclitus, ancient Greek philosophy, famously said, you never step into the same river twice. I don't know why he didn't say you never step into the same river. Just is what it is. But it's the same with our lives. There's no such thing as stepping into the same day twice, the same life, the same relationships. Everything is exceptionally and eternally brand new if we allow it to be. And so many of us miss that all too important layer for meaning and purpose and fulfillment called presence. Capital P, presence. We have to be present in the now with trust to bring it forward and to allow it to take hold in our lives. As I am present in the now, God takes care of every how. Present in the now, I experience God's good manifest everywhere. As I am present in the now, what is past is not something to look back upon, but the best of what is past is revealed as sacred memory. Control mind functions in the past and in the future. Trust functions in the present. And when we allow ourselves to be fully in this now, what is best about the past reveals itself. And what needs to be purged goes away. Been, as many of you know, grieving the loss of my father. And one of the most challenging things is my mind tells me over and over, Josh, your dad is past. P-A-S-T. He's gone. He's no longer present. And yet my heart tells me this opposite story, that in fact, Josh, your dad has been freed from the past and is eternally present and here and now. Coming home from a run, grieving one morning, I just, again, got past all the surface madness thoughts, and something deeper came forward. And I said, Dad, how are you doing right now? And it was like my brain was a record needle going right in the middle of the vinyl, and the song Twist and Shout came on. Shake it up, baby, now. And I looked, and my eyes settled right on the book that was in front of me on the kitchen counter, and it said joy. It was the joy of cooking. Twist and Shout, joy. Was this magical thinking? Absolutely. Absolutely it was magical thinking. But here's the thing. Sometimes life wounds us so strongly or takes something away from us that's so precious that the very right byproduct is it forces us to think in a more magical way in relationship to this great unknown that we know so little about, yet speaks to us from its fullness in our hearts and in our connections in our lives. So you're damn right it was magical thinking. But what are we to do? Rationalize it? Tell ourselves we're wrong? Or to be present and keep listening for that voice of God and those voices of our loved ones as they continue to speak to us in our lives? As we're present in the now, not only does the best of the past come forward, but we are able to affirm our eternal truth in the future as well. The Spirit precedes me wherever I go. How can we practically apply that? Thanksgiving's coming up. God, you are there even before I have turned on an oven. You are preheating this whole experience. And as I begin to plan and think about this divinely creative menu that I'm going to be a part of creating, as I begin to fret that my proud Trump supporter is going to sit down with my wounded liberal cousin right there at the table, I affirm a table of grace. I affirm, God, that you are already there right now, creating that perfect consciousness for sacred gratitude and connection, to let go of all that doesn't matter so that we can celebrate what is most important in our family, in our lives, getting to be right here, right now with one another. You can see where this can be powerful. Any challenge, any tough meeting, any unknown, the Spirit precedes me wherever I go. And as I am present in the now, God takes care of every how. Present in the now, I experience God's good manifest everywhere. As I am present in the now, what is past is not something to look back upon, but the best of what is past is revealed as sacred memory. As I am present in the now, there is nowhere else to be. As I am present in the now, there is nowhere else to be. Do you know what I wish for you over and over this holiday season? Just that last sentence. There's nowhere else to be. Right here and right now, this moment tells me everything I need to be. The best of what is past is right here. The best of what will be is already in the makeup, in the biology of this very moment. Kurt Vonnegut, the great writer, gave a lot of commencement speeches, and in almost every one he tells about some advice he got from his Uncle Alex, which is when a moment is really good, when you're sipping lemonade with some family and friends on a beautiful day in nature, make sure you pause and stop and say to yourself, if this isn't nice, I don't know what is. If this isn't nice, I don't know what is. It's those moments that help us reveal not only the sacred, but the eternal in our lives. Control has us living in tick-tock time. Trust allows us to live in sacred time. And in those moments of full trust and fully enjoying the moment as it is, the eternal speaks to us in a beautiful way. And we feel that presence of God, that presence of ourselves, and that presence of life that has always been there, that is with us now and always will be. So moving into an affirmative prayer, I invite any of our practitioners who care to stand and join me in that. And these beautiful practitioners are available for prayer in front of the stage. And I hope you don't mind, I'm just going to say a prayer for our country today. Giving thanks for this beautiful United States of America, which more than a landmass or a collection of people is a prayer for liberty, justice, the pursuit of happiness for all of us who are citizens and overall everyone in the world. That is what makes America such an important divine idea. And so it is with that I affirm and know right here and now that prayer that we've been seeking to manifest and co-create for centuries is continuing to make itself known in the highest and best possible ways. I actually embrace the idea that the prayer of this country will never be complete, for there are always newfound ways to express and embody and realize justice, realize freedom and equality, realize what it means to live a happy, full, and complete life in the fullness of embracing who we are and accepting who others are as well. I bask in gratitude in this infinite possibility. And so I share a prayer for all of our newly elected leaders, a prayer for guidance, a prayer for clarity, a prayer for divine support, and a prayer for accountability, knowing that the great citizens of this nation keep their eyes open and their discernment clear to help align and support these leaders in being within the integrity of their own conscience and of the prayer of the United States of America. Affirming and knowing this truth, even in the midst of difficult sadness or uncertainty. I remember those words of John F. Kennedy, "I'm an optimist without any illusions." May we hold that spiritual truth while participating in that hard work of democracy, which sometimes works so much slower than we want it to, but is the best divinely inspired system there is. We stay present, we care for ourselves, we uplift one another. This is my prayer, and so it is.